Hi guys, it's Seth. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Warthog Defense. So, apparently it's 1943 again. Because according to a very confused Russian soldier on the front line, he's under relentless fire of German artillery. Yes, you heard it right. German. Either he time traveled or someone forgot to update his war briefing. Meanwhile, FPV drones are swarming the trenches like mosquitoes at a summer barbecue. So thick the poor guy can't even crawl out of his dugout without risking a surprise from a flying grenade. Truly, a paradise for a modern soldier. Welcome to the front line, where reality is optional and survival is luxury.
A Russian soldier at the front line writes of the harsh conditions at the front line, under continuous fire from German artillery and FPV drones in such a high density that soldiers often cannot move from their dugouts without getting hit. I am not flattering you or buttering you up. I give you my word that I am grateful to you as to my own people. Thank you very much that you exist and that you are near. Once again, forgive me for this long, sappy story. Let's move forward. Victory will be ours. Ukrainian aviation continues operating across all directions. A MiG-29 using GBU-39 bombs is destroying enemy firing positions, dugouts, personnel and their ammunition in Tyotkino. The strikes are precise and constant, turning Russian fortifications into craters before they even know what hit them. With each sortie, Ukrainian pilots chip away at Russia's front line, leaving behind only smoke, debris and silence. All 48 passengers and crew on board a passenger plane that crashed in Russia's Far East have died, the head of the country's Amur region said in a statement Thursday. Russia's Emergency Situations Ministry said earlier that it had found the burning fuselage of the Soviet-designed twin-turboprop plane on a hillside south of its planned destination in the town of Tinda, more than 7,000 kilometers, 4,350 miles east of Moscow. The plane, which was operated by the Siberia-based Angara Airlines, had initially departed from Khabarovsk before making its way to Blagoveshchensk on the Russian-Chinese border and onwards to Tinda. It wasn't immediately clear what caused the crash. Russia's Interfax news agency said there were adverse weather conditions at the time of the crash, citing unnamed sources in the emergency services. Several Russian news outlets also reported that the aircraft was almost 50 years old, citing data taken from the plane's tail number. Images of the reported crash site, circulated by Russian state media, show debris scattered among dense forest, surrounded by plumes of smoke. Regional Governor Vasily Orlov said rescuers struggled to reach the site due to its remote location, 15 kilometers, 9 miles south of Tinda. The Transport Prosecutor's Office in the Far East said in an online statement that the plane was attempting to land for a second time when it lost contact with air traffic control and disappeared from radars. Orlov announced 3 days of mourning in the Amur region to mark the disaster, which he described as a terrible tragedy. A previous statement from the governor said that 49 people had been on board the flight. The reason for the discrepancy was not immediately clear. The authorities have launched a probe on the charge of flight safety violations that resulted in multiple deaths, a standard procedure in aviation accidents. Aviation incidents have been frequent in Russia, especially in recent years as international sanctions have squeezed the country's aviation sector. Russia has deployed a new regiment to southern Ukraine, which was formed in Chechnya, according to Vladislav Voloshin, spokesperson for the Southern Defense Forces of Ukraine. The Southern Military District, which is fighting here in the south, has created an entirely new motorized rifle regiment. It was formed in the city of Kankala in the Chechen Republic. They currently have 3 battalions, and a 4th one has recently arrived as well. They moved into this area 2 weeks ago, Voloshin said. Russian blogger Artemy Lebedev said, "The US is a very bad country to live in, and one doesn't want to be there because one feels uneasy there." Russia, according to him, is a much better place. America is very uncomfortable, very poor, destitute, with a lot of aggression, and awful, truly awful police. Mytishchi, a city in the Moscow region, is 1,000 times better than that Silicon Valley. There's nothing there. There are only dreary offices where Google feeds you for free with really bad food, he said. Soviet propaganda said the exact same things back in the day.
America is a very bad country to live in, very uncomfortable, very poor, impoverished, with constant mega aggression, with terrible police. Just really terrible. You just don't want to be there because you feel uneasy, but at the same time it's like there's something drawing people there. People go to Silicon Valley. It's a disaster. Mytishchi is 1,000 times better than this Silicon Valley. Really, it's just like garages behind the train station. This whole Silicon Valley, there's nothing there, just these dull offices where Google feeds you for free with very bad food. You wouldn't believe how poorly all these highly paid programmers eat, and all their happiness is to drive home and back to the air-conditioned office. There's nothing there. We have a lot of things and we don't know about it.
Just struck a deal with the European Union. This time they'll pay 100% for all US military equipment we send. They'll receive it, redistribute it, and the bulk will go to Ukraine. It's been a while since you've heard words like that, Trump said, adding that after investing $350 billion, America is now supplying equipment to Europe at Europe's expense.
Biden gave away $350 billion worth of equipment, or cash. Worse than equipment, cash. So we want to find out about that someday, I guess, right? But they were supposed to buy their own equipment, but I have a feeling they didn't spend every dollar on the equipment. But they are.
Lieutenant General André Steur, the commander of the Royal Netherlands Air Force, has called on NATO's European allies to prepare for independent defense in the event that the United States withdraws its troops from Europe. Speaking at the Air Chiefs Conference in London, as reported by Breaking Defense, he emphasized the need for NATO to thoroughly evaluate and understand the potential vulnerabilities that could emerge if the US decides to redeploy critical military assets from Europe to the Indo-Pacific or other regions. The current shortfall within the alliance will significantly worsen if the US has to increasingly focus on current and future events in the Indo-Pacific region, Steur said. He also called for a thorough review of NATO's defense planning objectives, especially the investments in command and control capabilities, cyber systems, fifth-generation fighter jets, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, as well as long-range weapons and tankers, refuelers. First and foremost, deep pockets filled with ammunition are needed, he said, because numbers really do matter in the world we live in. Additionally, the Lieutenant General stated that the alliance must avoid focusing solely on building Fortress Europe by concentrating forces and military assets on the eastern flank. In his view, continuing this approach risks losing agility and flexibility in future conflicts. To address this challenge, André Steur emphasized the need to remain unpredictable and maintain the ability to strike anytime and anywhere, just in case Russia invades not the Baltics but elsewhere. He highlighted the threats posed by Russia. Steur stated that the future need to support Allied efforts in Africa, the Indo-Pacific region, or the Middle East requires a balanced force mix that can ensure the alliance's security and combat evil worldwide. The Netherlands Air Chief expressed deep concern over the lack of attention to NATO's approach to 360-degree warfare. He also advocated for strengthening the air power capabilities of NATO member states. Recently, General Todd D. Walters, Commander U.S. European Command and NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, stated that NATO must prepare for a two-front war by 2027, facing both Russia and China. He also emphasized that alliance countries must keep pace with the rate of innovation and modernization in their armed forces, as demonstrated by the Ukrainian military.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.